everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this cold, windy, snowy, sad Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. Well, if you're a snow lover, it's not sad. I mean, I'm a snow lover, but I don't like it hitting me in the face, at 15 miles an hour. I'm Jeremy Crosby. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hopefully you kept yourself safe today and you're home in your warm home or wherever you can find warmth and you're just happy. Because today's weather is a messy one, and across the whole state of Wisconsin. More snow to the north. Down here, not too much snow. It seems like it, but it's really the snow that's blowing around that's causing all the havoc in the area. But hey, after this, guess what? It's going to be cold, and we'll talk about that coming up in the headlines. We do have a busy show today. We'll be checking in with Hy-Vee and Andrew Miller, plus we'll have the Fitchburg Fire Department here talking about heat safety because of cold weather, which is where we start our show. We got very, very cold temperatures coming up here the next couple of weeks, in fact, and this is what it says from the National Weather Service. An Arctic air mass will build into the area behind a cold front tonight into Thursday, continuing into Friday. After a brief warm-up on Saturday, bitter cold returns Sunday and Monday. Wind chills will frequently be below zero in the coming days, including approaching minus 20 or negative 20, however you want to say it in some cases. So make sure you take extra precautions. How can you take extra precautions? Well, Andrew and I've got you covered with some winter weather prep for you. Yeah. Prepare for possible isolation in your home by having sufficient heating fuel, regular fuel source, or maybe a cutoff. For example, store goods, supplies of dry season wood in your fireplace or wood burning stove. What's your backup plan if the heat goes out? Keep a fire extinguisher on hand to make sure that everything in your house, everything will stay safe. House fires pose additional risk when more people turn to alternate heating sources. So please stay safe and be prepared for this cold weather. All right, those are for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up our digest. We'll check in with Andrew Miller at Hy-Vee talking about cranberries. That's next right here on TF.
The central and midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh. No, you can't.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining us from Hy-Vee all across Madison area because she goes to all of them. It's Andrea Miller, our dietitian. I say ours because she's helped us out for a long time. And as anything goes, so do you. You're leaving us. It's not fair, but I'm very excited for you. Andrea, welcome back to the show. Maybe we should let you say hi first, but then we can talk about how sad we're gonna miss you having you on our show.
Hello, and thank you. I will miss you guys as well.
You've been such great help, and we've done so many fun segments. It's going to be hard to replace you on this, but we just can't thank you enough for all your help, and we'll save that for the end here on thanking you. I said I wouldn't tear up, so we'll keep it going. In today's segment, before we get to the waterworks, we'll talk about cranberries, and perfect time of year. We just came out of Thanksgiving and heading in the holiday season. It's the best time. Wisconsin is the cranberry capital of the world, so we got that going for us. But let's learn a little bit about the cranberry, because you could probably work this into your diet a little bit. I'm just suspecting, because Andrew wouldn't bring it here if we couldn't find a good way for it. But tell us a little bit about the cranberry itself.
Yes, so it's a gorgeous fruit to start, and our state fruit, which is even better. But there's a lot of different characteristics and nutritional benefits of cranberries. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and things to consider when you're incorporating cranberries into your recipes or when you eat them. So first, they're the most related to the blueberry. So if you can kind of picture how a blueberry, like the texture and kind of woodiness a little bit to a blueberry, that's what cranberries are most like. They are even a little bit more tart, and kind of, some people might describe them as crisp or not sweet, depending on their taste buds. But they have a very crisp, almost woody texture to them. So that's something to consider. And then of course their bright color. So it's very attractive to include cranberries into dishes, but we also get a lot of nutritional benefits from that bright color. So that's what we can talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're right on the texture. It's definitely, blueberry pops per se. This doesn't necessarily pop, but and then the flavor too. It really it depends how you prep it, and we'll get to that. But I love like the dried cranberries. Those are my favorite.
Yeah. So they're certainly not juicy. You wouldn't describe them as juicy like a grape. But as far as nutritional benefits, a lot of it is coming from that bright color. A lot of the nutritional benefits come from the antioxidants we get from cranberries. So we've talked about antioxidants before. They're in a lot of different fruits and vegetables. Their main role is to prevent damaged cells from being vulnerable. So our cells get broken down on a minute by minute daily basis, okay? Antioxidants kind of fill themselves in, they give themselves up to replenish, if you think of it that way, that damaged cell. So it's not vulnerable to diseases like heart disease, diabetes. Those are kind of the serious ones, but also wrinkles. Wrinkles are a result of oxidation or cells breaking down. So antioxidants kind of fill themselves in, give themselves up to keep that cell nice and whole and healthy.
That's interesting. And there's other things that for prevention and protection that I see here, and ulcers. That's interesting.
Yeah. So they're not really used as treatment, of course. It's a lot of things. So preventing ulcers is one. The good health of our urinary tract. You hear them kind of connected with urinary tract infections, but really they help prevent and kind of keep a nice, that system running smoothly. And then they have an antimicrobial effect, which sounds kind of interesting, but what that basically means is they make a very inhospitable environment for things like bacteria and viruses. That's what antimicrobial means in terms of food. And so they make it so viruses and bacteria don't want to hang out there, which is a good thing. And so they have kind of that effect on our system as well.
All right. Well, we've kind of got the benefits, if you will, of it. I think the next piece is you're thinking of the eating part of this and healthy snack or something. But cranberries and sugar, where does that fall?
Yeah, great question. So you are going to see sugar connected a lot with cranberries, and even professionally speaking, I think that's okay. Having sugar added to cranberries doesn't take away the nutritional benefits that we get from the cranberries, if you think of it that way. Okay, that's like saying if you add salt to broccoli, that doesn't take away the nutritional benefits from broccoli just by adding some salt, right? So of course you want to consider the added sugar and what that means to you, but know that we don't usually drink straight cranberry juice, or we're not going to pop cranberries like we would grapes. Okay, so they will make the cranberries more palatable. And so the other thing to note is that in some cases, adding sugar to cranberries even keeps them at the same level as other fruits naturally. So
interesting.
Something to kind of take into consideration. It's not necessarily making them higher in sugar or carbohydrates than other fruit, even with added sugar. It's because their baseline sugar level is so low.
Well, that makes it guilty free. No, I'm just kidding. All I just heard is that's a green light to eat more cranberries, no matter what form or shape they take in. So as we're looking and buying for cranberries, I can't honestly tell you, Andrew, that I've ever bought a fresh cranberry before. So
Oh,
This is totally out there. So I'm kind of excited to learn a little bit about this because I
yes.
am looking for cooking the ultimate meal this year. So
Mhm.
tell us about looking and finding them, the season, that sort of thing.
Yes. Well, this is the year, I think, for you, the year of the fresh cranberry for you. So
I'm wearing red. I mean, come on, we're ready.
we're right in peak season for purchasing them fresh in the produce department. So you'll find them in the produce department in nice little a mesh bag. That's kind of our local ones, come in mesh bags. You'll also see some ocean spray varieties that come in a plastic bag with air holes in them. You want to look for cranberries. They should be nice and firm and to the touch, which is unusual because that's not usually how we buy other fruits.
Right.
But we want them soft. So you want them nice and firm to the touch. They should look really nice and plump and kind of pearly. And you'll find them between September and December. So we're right in that sweet spot. You can still pick your fresh ones up. They do last quite a while too. I think I've had a package of remaining kind of in my fridge for the last like 3 weeks and I can still use them easily.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one thing to consider. And then when you're cooking them or thinking of how to incorporate them into recipes, we often think of baked goods, right? Muffins or cobblers or different things like that. But also they work really great in savory dishes. So I provided a few recipes for you guys that link directly to our website, but there's a great one where you incorporate into a stuffing for acorn squash. You get a nice sweet and tart at the same time. There's a one where you can create a butter using fresh cranberries that you kind of grind up and mix with orange zest, which is delicious. One of my favorites is actually the cranberry jalapeno salsa that we have on the website. And so that you get a nice tartness, but also a little heat from the jalapeno. And you can have it as kind of like a side to a meat, like turkey or pork for a chutney, or you can dip it with chips, or I like to do a cracker with like a cream cheese spread and then put that jalapeno salsa on top. That's a great combo.
Yeah, if you would have, you couldn't have paid me to tell you that there was a jalapeno salsa out there with a cranberry base. Like that is,
Yeah.
but as I'm looking here at some of the images, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
it looks really tasty.
Yeah. So
Oh,
you're
sorry,
gonna
go ahead.
notice. Oh, I'm sorry. For some recipes, I was just gonna note you're gonna notice that you might just grind them up raw, like with the salsa. You don't cook it; you just grind it up in a food processor. And some of them, like with the stuffing for the acorn squash, you kind of cook it on the stove so they pop and burst. So you're going to notice you use cranberries a little bit differently depending on the recipe.
Yeah, that's interesting. Again,
Mhm.
I would have never, thinking of buying them fresh again, just it doesn't work. I only know it in the can and taking the can, dumping it out on the plate, and there's the
Right.
canned cranberry. Talk quickly on that turkey wrap too. That turkey wrap
Oh,
looks
yeah.
interesting. Is that well, I'll let you take over on that one.
Sure.
What's that one
So
made
that's
up
a
of?
great one to use for leftover turkey. And if you have leftover cranberry sauce, and by the way, homemade cranberry sauce, nothing against the stuff in the can, but homemade cranberry sauce is super easy. So if you want to take a crack at it, it's super easy. It'll make you feel very, holiday-ish when you make it. But those turkey wraps are using leftover turkey, some greens and leftover cranberry sauce, and then a little bit of spread. And then you just roll those up or wrap those up. So those are a great holiday dish to have after the holidays, like for an appetizer, or even to bring in your lunch the next week.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that with one, because that's exactly what
Mhm.
happens, because it gets passed around, but maybe not be everybody's first choice. So trying to figure
Right.
out how to incorporate it into something else. And then quickly, for the snacking of them, and if you're
Mhm.
considering buying that snack, certainly you see the dried cranberries out there
Mhm.
or a mix of it. But as far as finding and buying those, or even making your own mix, because there's a
Mhm.
lot of people that mix a lot of
Mhm.
and make their own I don't know what you want to call it, trail mixes and that sort of
Mhm.
thing. You ever
Mhm.
any recommendations on that front?
Yeah, so you're going to see them, most, if not all, dried cranberries are going to have sugar in them. Okay. So again, I wouldn't be too scared off by that because they're still going to be about the same as other dried fruit. The big thing to remember for dried fruit, it's not necessarily higher in sugar, it's just more concentrated because there's no water there, right? So about a quarter cup dried fruit is about equal to a cup total of something fresh, like grapes or berries or things like that. So kind of keep the amount, you wouldn't eat the same amount of dried something as you would fresh. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing I like to mention is when we're cooking with cranberries and sugar, kind of start at the lower end of what the recipe calls for. Because when you're cooking, you can always add more sugar to it, but you might prefer a little bit more of that tart taste. And so you can't take the sugar out, add it in. Baking, just kind of go with it. It's gonna work out. It's kind of part of the process with baking. But with cooking, take it a little bit at a time, even a third of what the recipe calls for. Add more as you taste it, and you might need it.
Interesting. That's a good tip. Well, Andrea, if people want to learn more about this, where can they find some information on cranberries?
Yeah, so I have the links that go directly to the recipes we're highlighting. Plus, we have our full recipe database on Hy-Vee.com under recipes and ideas. And then the other great resource is our Wisconsin State Cranberry Growers Association. It's kind of a mouthful, but we can include that link as well. They have a lot of information about harvesting and the growing and the industry in our state, as well as some additional recipes as well.
All right, Andrea, thank you so much. I think we've got some good ideas for the holiday season. And hey, folks, if it doesn't work out, put them in a ball in their decoration.
That's right. Stick a candle in there and you're good.
Exactly. That's probably not recommended by the dietitian, but that's my 2 cents. No, it sounds pretty easy. Andrea, thank you again for the last couple of years. You have been a godsend of the show, and we appreciate all your tips. Good luck to you in the future, and you have an open invitation no matter where you go to come back and visit us here on Talking Fitchburg.
Thanks so much.
You bet. To Andrea Miller, Hy-Vee dietitian, and we wish her the best of luck in the future, and we hope to have a continued a relationship with Hy-Vee and getting out information dietitian. If not, we're just going to have to hire her, and I'll just put it in my budget for next year. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. More to come. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.
Como padre, todos los días son un desafío. Y hay que estar ahí presentes. No importa lo cansado que uno esté, hay que estar ahí presentes para ellos. Cuando los niños aprenden algo nuevo, es ese momento mágico y especial. Y creo que presenciar ese momento es mi favorito.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today from the Fitchburg Fire Department, it's Adam Dorn. That must mean it's time for safety. Fire safety. How's it going?
That is one of the best intros I've heard you do.
If you asked me to repeat that, I would not be able to do that.
I think we should ask him to do it again.
Nope. But we are going to talk about something that we've talked about in the past. As things start to cool down, you and I like to go out in the woods, do some hunting. It's just time to think about, I almost said hunting safety. Heating safety.
But maybe that's an idea for one of our next episodes.
Hunting safety, not a bad thing. Yeah. Gotta have those harnesses and everything ready to go. But we do want you to stay safe as it does get cool here. If it ever gets cool, I mean, when we tape this, we're kind of in a warming trend. So we'll see if it cools down here in the near future. But there are some things that we definitely want you to stay safe with when we're thinking heating safety. So we're just going to kind of go through the gamma here of different heating things. But first and foremost, Dorn, if you're put on the spot, like heating safety, where's the first thing you're going to check out as you get ready for winter and the cold temperatures?
Well, let's make sure the furnace actually operates as it's designed to. Right?
Okay.
A lot of times people will just Even me, I've done it too. Just, oh, it's getting cold, turn your furnace on and be done. You know, sometimes when you have a newer furnace, it's not such a big deal because you know it's going to work. But as the furnace gets older, along with their house and everything else, sometimes things break or they don't operate as smoothly as they should. So it's always good to get your furnace checked up. You know, do a checkup on your furnace, just like you go to the doctor for a checkup. Bring the servicemen out to your house and have them check up your furnace.
Next one that I think of is space heaters, that you're just pulling these out, and I love when you fire up a good space heater and you smell the burning smell of dust and grime and everything else in between. What can we do to ensure that those things are going to work properly? And not that you can guarantee it by any means. We're not here to say good or bad or whatever, but what would you do?
Yeah, I would strongly recommend not using them if you don't have to. We'll start there. But if you need to use them, right, make sure that you keep everything at least 3 feet away from them, from any of the heating equipment, that kind of stuff, because if something happens to fall on it or maybe it tips over, there's a chance that it could start a fire. And by keeping that 3-foot surrounding area clear of anything that could burn is a great way to start. That includes pets. That can be hard at times, but it can be done.
All right, and speaking of pets, kids, and everything else, as it gets colder and we get into these holiday months, we're going to see a lot of cooking and stuff. When we're thinking of heat from the heat sources, such as the oven, the heater, the whatever, talk a little bit more about that safety with those crazy kids or those pets.
Yeah. So just like we want to keep that 3-foot space around a space heater, keep a 3-foot space around all of your cooking appliances. Keep everybody 3 feet away. Basically, if you are within 3 feet, you should be cooking something. And if you're not cooking, you need to be at least 3 feet away from it. That's the easy way to remember that. One of the other things with that, don't use your appliances to heat your home.
That was going to be my next question for you.
Yeah, I read your mind.
You sure you don't want to do that?
Yeah, I am absolutely sure you don't want to do that. Right around the holidays, winter, it can get tough. It can be super cold. You can be running short on, finances to pay the heating bill, all that kind of stuff, just because you have an oven in your home. That is not the way to heat your home. That's actually very dangerous. We could go on for hours about that, but we're not going to. But just don't use your oven to heat your home. Now, what I do is if I'm cooking something in the oven and when I'm done, I'll leave the oven door cracked open so the heat does come out, but then it's closed when I'm done in the kitchen. So you can let the heat come out that way, but do not use your oven to heat your residence.
Again, check the manufacturer to make sure that that's recommended.
Right.
Not really, though. All right, next one. The fireplace kind of is the next area I seem, you're waiting to have that first fire in the chimney. And when's the last time you cleaned the chimney, Dorn?
It would be 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Uh-oh.
Now, I have not burned in my chimney or my fireplace the last 2 years. So I go about every 2 to 3 years before I have it checked again before I burn. So I am due for a cleaning inspection by a chimney sweep.
What's the top reason for chimney fires?
I would not 100% sure on this, but if I were to look at everything, I believe it would be the buildup of creosote inside of your chimney. And that creosote, it comes from the burning of the wood, right? So it actually sticks to the inside of your flue in your chimney. And over time, it just builds up so much that when you start the next fire and you got a nice, good roaring fire, all that heat goes up past the creosote, which is combustible, and now you have a fire on the lining of the inside of your chimney.
Not good.
Not good.
Other heating, and it seems to be very popular, and I'm not sure good or bad how they work, but wood and pellet stoves, or these pellet heaters, very popular. Safety things around that, because I don't know much about it, so that's part of it. But any recommendations there for making sure that's ready to go?
Always refer to the manufacturer's recommendations. That's probably the easiest way to say this, but refer to their recommendations. Make sure that the installation was done by a professional. Make sure that the equipment is vented to the outside of your building and that it meets all the requirements for that. because that will help prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Also, with that, make sure you have the carbon monoxide detectors installed around these different places, because if you're using that for the major heating appliance in your house, that you have a chance of creating carbon monoxide in your home. You want to be sure to protect yourself against that.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I saw too in recommendation checking the smoke alarms during the heating season. Also important. What would you recommend on checking? What are we checking?
Well, we want to make sure, one, that they're there. Two, if there are batteries in them, that the batteries are actually present. Three, that they actually work. The leading cause of smoke detectors not working is batteries aren't present.
They were
sounds
took
really,
yeah.
really silly to say that, but that's the case. Most of the time, when the smoke detectors don't operate, it's because the batteries were taken out. Make sure they're there for a reason. They do a good job of what they're supposed to do.
All right, and finally, just overall for heat safety, we've got our smoke detectors. We've got our plan. I think it's just the plan of, and I don't know why, but I'm going to emphasize it all this year of checking all of these things, but also what do you do in different scenarios? How would you recommend building that plan, real quick?
Yeah, take a look at your layout of your house. Look at who's in your home on a regular basis. Right, and then kind of walk through what happens if this is the case. What do I do from here? And go through each one of those scenarios, whether that's a fire alarm, a smoke alarm going off, maybe it's carbon monoxide detector, maybe there's actually a fire, right? And you can have it set up for one that's just a detector activation, one that's actually fire, one that's actually smoke. You can have them kind of all be different, but they all should end up being the same end goal. Everybody gets out, stays out, goes to the meeting place, and everyone is safe.
And I think that's important to tie into all of this because you might want to think twice if it's cold out there of where that meeting place is going to be. Hopefully it's going to be somewhere where you can get to a warm spot quickly, but also safely. All right, Doran, well, I appreciate the help. If people want to learn more about heat safety or fire safety, where can they find it?
You can always go to our fire department website, which is fitchburgwi.gov/fire. You can go there. We have a lot of information there, but it also takes you out to different places to find more information. So take a look. And if you can't find something that you're interested in about or want to know more about, let us know. There's an email there on the front page. Email us.
Fantastic. I'm the only one that sends you emails all the time, so I know that you're getting them, that's for sure. All right, Doran, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy.
You bet. All right, Adam Doran, Fitchburg Fire Department. Check out the website, fitchburgwi.gov. Public Safety, Fire Department. We'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg Fire Department.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, wrapping up the show. I want to thank Adam Dorn and Andrea Miller. We're certainly going to miss you, Andrea. And we're still going to play all those pieces, though, even though she's not here. Just saying. Have a great day, everybody.